Let's get started. So good morning, everyone. I'm Christopher Kelly with the West Monroe West Washita Chamber of Commerce, and this is the next in our series of Small Business Academy. We're proud that you could join us. It's a very informal series. We always like you to ask questions. It's being recorded so that we can share it with our other members. This kind of came as an outshoot of meeting this wonderful person at a meeting down in Baton Rouge. And literally the week before, I had dealt with someone that was hearing impaired, and I thought that the phone call was spam. So it's something that all of our businesses need to kind of key into, that there are services out there that help you recognize this call, understand how to deal with an important client. And so, hey, we wanted to kind of bring this to you. Of course, Small Business Academy is always sponsored by Intergy Business Development. We're proud to sponsor with them every year. So, hey, take it away, friend.
All right, thank you. So my name is Bobbye Abney. I'm the outreach coordinator for Louisiana Relay. And what we do is we make sure that individuals who have hearing loss or a speech difference are able to make their phone calls independently within the state of Louisiana. So that's basically the generalized of what we do. And what we also try to do alongside it is make sure that those calls will be taken, that they can make those phone calls to their favorite businesses and still be able to connect so that those businesses understand this isn't a spam call. This is just somebody who has a hearing loss or a speech difference, and make sure to take those calls. Housekeeping stuff before we start. One, just like Christopher said, if you have a question, please let us know. I'd be happy to answer that. Chances are, if you have a question, somebody else had that question, especially if this is going online for later, where I can't answer every person's question there as we go. So feel free to go ahead and ask questions whenever you have them. The other thing is that I would like to announce a couple of award programs that we have going on right now. So for one, if you know any high school students who are deaf, hard of hearing, deaf, blind, or have a speech difference, we do have a scholarship that the date to turn in applications for that scholarship is February 14th. So that's coming up. And we would really like to get some applications from a high school senior who has that hearing loss or speech difference so that we can help them to achieve their dreams. The next one is that May is Better Hearing and Speech Month. And so in May, we always try to recognize someone in a community who is hard of hearing, late deafened, or has a speech difference, and who has been an asset to their community. So maybe they volunteer a lot. Maybe they donate items. Maybe they serve on a board to help their community. Any of those things are going to be awesome ways to help out their community. And we would love to recognize them for all their awesome hard work. So if you have anyone in mind, my contact information is going to be at the end of this webinar. And please let me know so that I can help and make sure that person gets recognized for some awesome stuff that they did. With that, we can go ahead and get started. And you know what, just to be safe, I'm going to go ahead and turn on subtitles for this. This is just a feature that happens in PowerPoint, is that it can turn on subtitles. So I find that if we don't have an interpreter and we don't have somebody doing CART, it's just helpful just in case anybody misses something. So here's the basic idea is don't hang up on me. Just like Christopher said, it happens all the time that, somebody who may have a hearing loss or a speech difference will get hung up on because people don't always realize that that person is not spam, that they are just calling through a service because they need it. They need that extra accommodation to keep themselves independent so that they can make their phone calls. So that's if you don't take anything else out of today's webinar, take that, is just listen for a couple more seconds if you're not sure, so that you can tell if that individual is a deaf or hard of hearing individual, if they have a speech difference, or maybe if it is actually just spam. So how this is going to work, we're going to go through about Relay, how Relay is going to work. We'll run very briefly through some types of Relay services, but you all don't need to know the specifics on how each of them works. If you have more questions about an individual one, I'm happy to answer. But we're just kind of going to go more briefly through it today. Some communication tips. So this will be great for you to know how to communicate with somebody who is using a Relay service. And then completing this training for today. So I do want to let you all know that becoming a Relay friendly business is something that isn't just this training. This can, oh, participants can now see your application. Okay, I didn't know they couldn't before. Sorry, it just popped up there. This training is something that involves first the training, then you can contact me and let me know some details about your business. Once all of your employees who would be answering phone calls have seen it, you can contact me and let me know. And we'll do some test calls to make sure that you all have kind of taken in that information and see how that goes. And once that's done, you can become a Relay friendly business, which means that we'll put your company on our website. We will give you a web bug for your website. We can send you some stickers for your door. And all of this just shows that you are ready to take Relay calls and accommodate for those in your community who need them. So about Relay, real quick. I keep saying Relay. I've given a very general kind of description of it. But basically, in 1990, there was the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that stated that there has to be a service for deaf and hard of hearing individuals to be able to make their phone calls. This was TTY back in the day, and we still have TTY now. But that's when it kind of got started. Hamilton Relay has actually been going since 1991. So we've been around since the beginning of these mandates. Now, the FCC did mandate in 1993 that not only would this be available, but this would be free of charge with no time limits. It would be 24/7, 365 days a year, and no limitations on the number of calls a person can make. So just like somebody who is hearing, who, if they want to, we can make a phone call, all day, every day. Somebody who is deaf or hard of hearing can also make those phone calls all day, every day. And we're always there to make sure that call goes through. Many of these services do require some specialized equipment. Like I said, a TTY, and there's several other different kinds of equipment that people could use. And also, like I said, the service is available 24/7. So we provide this service for the state of Louisiana through a contract with the Relay Administration Board. That's how we're able to offer it at no charge to any individuals who need it, is our state contract. And it just makes it possible for those individuals to engage with you over the phone. It is really, once you get started, it is not a difficult call to take. You just kind of have to get used to it a little bit. So Christopher can probably attest that once he took the call from his deaf or hard of hearing member, that he was able to realize, hey, it's not actually that difficult once you get started.
No, it was beautiful. And I felt actually a little guilty that I had hung up the first time.
Exactly. And I mean, that's understandable. But, it's just good to kind of like, once you get started, you're in there. So that's why don't hang up is our main focus today. So first, the relay user is going to place a call using their assistive telecommunications device, usually using an assistive device. We do have a service that doesn't require any extra devices, but basically they'll make their call, and it goes to our call center first. The CA, who is a communications assistant, so you can see over there the little icon on the left. We usually say CA because it is a whole lot faster than saying communications assistant. So our CA is going to speak or type what is said between you and the relay user. So if that user is not able to speak, that CA is going to voice for them. And if that user is not able to hear, they're going to type for them. And that's pretty much how that goes. Whenever you're on these calls, you're just going to speak as you normally would. But you might want to go a little bit slower so that they have time to type everything. And when you're finished, you just say, go ahead. And that allows you to know that it is time for them to talk. One of the really important things about taking a relay call is turn taking. So we think we're great at turn taking. We think it's ingrained in us from a young age. You don't talk over other people. However, if you actually pay close attention to the conversations that you have, you'll often realize that we sort of realize when a sentence is about to end and we start talking over the last bit of it because we want to say what we want to say. And that happens with a lot of people. And it's really normal for any two people who speak the same language. But the thing is, if you're using a relay call, you might not necessarily be speaking to somebody who speaks the same language. You may be speaking to somebody who speaks ASL and is not able to communicate with you in that same level. And in that case, you really need to take that turn. You need to wait until you're sure that they're done speaking, until they say, go ahead, so that you know, okay, it's time for me to talk. Because that also gives our CA a second to switch and be ready to type what you're going to say, because they just can't do both at once. So here's our CA. She's going to facilitate calls according to FCC and state regulations. So she's double regulated. We'll make sure that she is doing everything that she needs to be doing. She can follow some individuals' user preferences. That just means that a person can fill out a customer profile saying, here are the services that I need. Here are some calls that I might be making. Here are some specific problems that I have that I need you to help with, etc. So somebody can tell them ahead of time, hey, I need something like this. I need this. And they're able to follow up and make sure that they get what they need. This CA does not engage in personal conversation. So if you have ever worked with an interpreter, or if you have even just seen a governor's press conference where he's got the interpreter next to him, you realize that that interpreter isn't part of the conversation. They are just making sure that everybody gets understood. If I turned to my interpreter and said, hey, what do you think about this? The interpreter would turn to the deaf individual and say, hey, what do you think about this? Because that's what they're there for, is to just make sure everyone gets understood. Everything that comes across these lines stays confidential. Our CAs do not write anything down. They don't even have a pen or paper or a phone nearby. Their computers do not record the conversation. Once that call is over, the whole conversation is gone. So that's not something that we can hold on to. And we say this because we want you to feel comfortable that if you're on the phone with a client and they need to give you some personal information, that it is going to be safe for them to do so. They can pay over the phone with a card. They can give you, contact information for themselves. And that's not going to be picked up and saved by us so that we can spam them later. So it's safe to be able to do that. Here's a quick list of some relay services. Like I said, I'm not going to be going into close detail on these, but the idea is going to be if you can hear, then, if you cannot hear, then they're going to be typing to you. If you cannot speak, you're going to be typing to them. With the exception of speech to speech, which is for an individual who has difficulty with speech, but maybe just needs a little bit of help to be understood. So somebody with stuttering or aphasia, or who has an illness like Parkinson's or ALS, may be able to use a speech-to-speech service. And all of these services are available in Spanish as well. So if you talk to a client who is a Spanish speaker who also has hearing loss or a speech difference, they will be able to use these services as well. And that kind of functions as the translation at the same time. So you kind of get a little bit of both. It won't function as a translation service if that individual does not have a hearing loss or speech difference to begin with. But if they do, you kind of get 2 in 1, so you don't have to call 2 services. We also have a Caption telephone service. This one, a lot of the time, you won't even realize that you're talking to someone using a Caption telephone, because how this works is when you speak, we're going to make sure that your words come up on their phone so that they can read it. And usually you're only going to hear about this if they say, hey, can you slow down? I'm reading, or wait just a moment. I need to finish reading this. And then you might kind of realize, oh, they're reading captions of what I'm saying. And it makes it, it's a pretty smooth ride there. You can get it as a physical phone that plugs into the wall. You can get it as internet based, so people can be reading your captions on their computer. And we are working on our smartphone app. We're hoping it's going to be out very soon. Now, the other one that I'm going to talk about today is a video relay service. We don't provide video relay service personally, but it's important. It's important to make sure that those individuals get what they need. So we include it in this presentation anyway, to make sure that everybody kind of understands sort of the difference. We've talked about our CAs who are going to either type or voice, depending on what the individual needs. Well, a video relay interpreter is going to sign to their deaf client. So they're going to take whatever you say and sign back to their deaf client, who will be able to sign back and they'll voice for their client. They need to use a video, a phone, a computer with a webcam, some kind of video enabled device with internet. And like I said, the CA here is going to be a video interpreter, not a communication assistant. All right, we're getting to some tips. This is going to be the actual, now that we've gotten like the knowledge part out of the way, we can all kind of be on the same page about what things are. We can actually get to some tips about how to take these calls and communicate with these individuals. So one, you're going to talk to that person directly. Just like I said, that CA is not a member of this conversation. They're just making sure that everyone gets understood. So if you say, oh, can you tell her this? They're going to type, hey, can you tell her this? And that's just going to get confusing for the other person. And they're also going to feel like they're being ignored. Because you're not talking to them, you're talking to the hearing person who is meant to just be relaying for them. Be patient. This call is going to be a little bit longer than a typical call that you might have for the same purpose. So if somebody is calling saying that they want to, I'm just going to say order a pizza, right? We're going to go with you have a pizza company and this caller is calling to order a pizza. It is going to take longer than a hearing person calling to order a pizza because you have to wait for the CA to type everything down. You have to wait for the individual to type everything down. You have to wait for, those go-aheads, and it's just gonna take a little bit longer. So it's important to just kind of be patient with it. The other thing that you can do is ask for a callback number. This individual will give you the number that you need to be able to contact them. And if you have to call through our relay service first, they can tell you that. But they'll let you know how to get back in contact with them, which is important in case the call drops. You may not be able to just redial, because if they're calling through us, the number on your phone is going to be our call center. Our call center is going to be the one who called you after they've called us to ask. So make sure you get that callback number if you think you might need to follow up with them. If possible, it's good to eliminate your background noise. So I know sometimes, we may be in an office and you've got things going on all over the place. Oh, it's somebody's birthday. Oh, 3 other people are over here talking about something. They're having a meeting in this room. If you can find a quieter place to take your call, that would be best. Because this makes it easier for the CA to understand everything that's going on your end and pick out what needs to be relayed. Especially because the CA doesn't just relay your speech, they relay everything that they hear. So if you have a dog barking in the background, they're also going to write dog barking because they want that individual to have the full experience of what is going on at that location and be able to hear and understand all of the same cues a hearing person is going to understand. So if you give them less to have to type down, it's going to go a little bit quicker because there will be less for them to have to worry about. If you have a problem with your CA, if you don't understand them very well, you can request to change CAs. They won't feel offended. It'll be okay. If you want, you can take down the CA's number at the beginning of the call. They will always tell you, hi, this is CA number 1234 or whatever their number is. And if you ever need to make a complaint about them, you can call and give a complaint using their CA number, and we can make sure to follow up with them. However, if you just want a quick change, you can just say, I would like a new CA, and they can transfer to a new CA. Remember to use go ahead. So go ahead is the prompt to show that you are finished talking. So you have finished saying what you want to say, go ahead. And that lets them know that it's their turn. GA is also fine. The person who's talking to you may say GA instead of go ahead because they're typing and it's a lot faster. So if you hear go ahead or GA, it just means that it's your turn to talk now. In-person communication tips. So if you are in person with an individual who is deaf or hard of hearing, here's a few tips to be able to make sure you can connect with them. Maintain that eye contact. So sometimes in the hearing world, we look away a lot. We will go to write something down and we'll be looking down at our notepad while that person is talking. And that's considered a little bit rude because those individuals, from their entire life experience, the only way to communicate with someone is to look at them. And so it can be really important to show that you're paying attention by looking directly at the person that you're talking to. Keep your mouth and eyes visible. Obviously, with COVID, we're wearing a mask a lot of the time, so that's understandable. But if you're not, or if you are in a situation where you don't need to, make sure that you are not, covering your mouth, that you're not turning away and speaking while looking behind you, that you're not, putting some dark sunglasses on so they can't see your eyes to know the expression that you're using. Sometimes it's really important for a deaf individual to see our expressions, to see exactly what we may be trying to get across. And that can kind of help them to understand a little bit more about the situation and the conversation. A lot of ASL is about facial expression. And so it's really important not to cover that up if you're speaking to a deaf individual. Like I said with my example of an interpreter at a press conference, you notice that those interpreters do not have masks on, because those interpreters cannot be understood while their face is covered. Speak very clearly. Sometimes this individual might have some hearing, sometimes they may not have some hearing, but if you speak more clearly, they have a better chance of being able to read lips. Reading lips is not a reliable way to communicate most of the time, though. Many of our lip movements may look like something else that's similar, and just be really hard to interpret. So if that's something that they're doing, make sure that you've got that eye contact, that you're speaking very clearly, and that may help them to use whatever hearing they do have to communicate with you. Keep your phone and a pen and paper handy. Some deaf individuals will prefer that you just write to them. Just take a piece of paper and write what you want to say. Take your phone out and put it in the notes app and show it to them. And sometimes that's going to be the best call. And really, if you want to determine what the best way to communicate with an individual who is deaf or hard of hearing is, you have to ask them. And sometimes that means you have to just pick a way to ask that you know that they're going to understand. But they will tell you. They'll let you know how they want to communicate. Sometimes they'll take out an app and they'll just hold it up close to you, so that when you speak, it'll transfer down onto the phone and then they can read it, and then type back to you. But sometimes they're able to speak, but they're not really able to hear very well. So you just have to ask and see what their most comfortable way to communicate is. Again, speak directly to the customer. Don't speak to the interpreter. Don't speak to, well, I guess you're in person, so you wouldn't speak to someone that they brought with them, maybe to help. So sometimes they'll bring a loved one who is trying to help them out. And in that case, if you're asking that person, what they need or what they want, you wouldn't say, hey, what is it that she wants? You would ask, what do you need? And that person can help by interpreting that for you. Now, as far as phone calls, I know I'm going a couple minutes over, but we're gonna make sure y'all get all of this information. As far as phone calls, treat the call like you would any other phone call. It's not special, it's just a little bit different. Now, you need to identify and address the suspicious calls because those are also going to happen. We have to, we acknowledge that there are going to be spam calls every now and then. So if this call service is not being used by somebody who is deaf, hard of hearing, deafblind, or has a speech difference, then it is being misused, which doesn't happen particularly often, but it happens sometimes. Sometimes people take advantage of these services and the kind of extra layer of anonymity that they would need to scam people, essentially. So if a caller refuses to identify themselves or give a company name, if they won't provide a telephone number for you to call them back on, if they order large quantities of a product or whatever you've got in stock, that might be suspicious behavior. Maybe they want the goods shipped immediately through a third party or to an overseas location. That might be kind of suspicious. If they supply multiple credit cards, or a bunch of them get declined, especially if those cards are maybe only one number off, that's a great way to know that this is a very suspicious call and we don't want to give them any extra money or information, that we don't trust that caller. If they want to pay by a certified check, then just wait until the funds are cleared before shipping your merchandise. A lot of this may be, something that will already tip you off. But those are the kinds of things that we want to be concerned about if you're getting a relay call. And especially a lot of the time, if you're getting a relay call, you're going to be thinking about, oh, this person is deaf or hard of hearing. I have to make sure that I'm not, that I'm not hanging up on them. But if it sounds suspicious, it can be suspicious. So trust your gut on that. And just look for these other ways to tell if that call is actually going to be suspicious, as opposed to just hearing the semi-robotic, CA at the beginning saying, "Hi, this is CA number 12345. The person who's calling you is deaf or hard of hearing," which, may be unusual to hear at the beginning. It is a great idea to make relay-friendly business training a part of your new employee orientation. So whenever you get a new employee, it's a great idea to just go ahead and give them that training. I'm available to do follow-ups anytime that you need. My information is going to be at the end of this video. So I'll be happy to share and give you any follow-ups that you need as far as that goes. If people ask you, hey, are you relay friendly? Do you understand relay calls, because I need to make calls using relay? Then you can let them know, yeah, we're a relay friendly business. We've taken some trainings and we are confident that we can take relay calls quickly and efficiently. And they will be really happy about that. I will say that the deaf community is very tightly knit. Wherever I go, they all seem very tightly knit together, and they do talk to each other. So if they call and have some bad experiences with the business, they will let each other know. But if they have some good experiences, they'll say, hey, this is a safe place to go. This is a safe place to get your information, to purchase things, whatever it is that your business is providing. This is a place that will understand and will be able to take our calls. So it'll attract more customers. It'll increase that loyalty of those customers who are having their needs met, when other businesses might have more difficulty with meeting those needs because they haven't had this training. And it'll result in referrals from those customers. So here's what's next. Kudos on getting to the end of this presentation. Now I will need to know, so you'll need to let me know if you've had everybody in your business who will be answering phone calls to watch this video. I will need to be notified, so you will have to give me a call or send me an email with some information on your business, and then we will make some test calls. We'll schedule a couple of them, and we will make sure that, you know, whoever answers the phone there is going to be prepared to answer those calls. If not, we can do a little refresher and answer questions. And if so, then great. We'll send you a certificate for your completion of your training. We'll put your business listed on our website under our Relay Friendly Businesses. You get some break room posters for just encouraging staff and reminding them on how to take these relay calls, as well as a window decal for your front window so that you can tell customers who are entering your business that you're relay friendly and you're ready to help them if they need relay services, as well as a web bug so that you can put it on your website and let people know on your website that you're a relay friendly business. So there we go. We have finally gotten to the end of that. Does anyone have any questions? Here is my email and my phone number. So I am happy to provide any further information offline if you would prefer. I am also going to remind you all, this is a great place to contact me if you have anyone that you need to let me know to sign up for the scholarship program and the Better Hearing and Speech Month Award. That's where you contact me for those as well. And this will be where you contact me to get the rest of your perks as a relay friendly business.
Well, thank you. That was really informative. I appreciate a little bit more insight into the program, and I'm sure we will be doubling down and working with you to get certified. Like I said previously, that call kind of took me out of the blue. So now I really want to double down and make sure that we're being as accessible as we possibly can. I know we're a little bit over time, so I'll follow up with sending your contact information to everybody that registered. We'll embed this video into our newsletter, and we'll follow up with members. Thank you so much for being our speaker for this February Small Business Academy.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Bye.